or training on Global Catalog, as we call it. Some people call it bulk cataloging, and I can understand where they're coming from because that's where you catalog a whole bunch of uh, inventory at the same time. And others like to call it SCIS catalog. So that'll give you some context about what we're going to be talking about today. It's just a short one, should take no more than a few minutes. And the way I'm going to do it is we're going to actually go through the process to show you how simple, how quick, how smart it is. And then at the end of it, I'm going to show you the parameters that you need to set to be able to do it. Okay, so the first point that we're going to start with is how do I access it in the first place? So how do I access Global Catalog? Okay, now to be able to access Global Catalog, you have to be signed in and you must have as a bare minimum cataloging rights. Okay, or librarian rights or administrator rights. But at the bottom level, you need to have cataloging rights. And now the way that works is if you click on the menu, okay, you'll come down to catalog. You must have that option catalog. And we're not going to do normal manual one-on-one cataloging, one by one. We're going to do what we call global cataloging, or some library staff like to call it bulk cataloging, because I'm going to catalog a bulk of books that have come in, or the old traditional way of SCIS cataloging. Okay, so we're going to go into global catalog. Now, what you should do is, let's assume you've got 100 books to catalog, and they're a mixture of fiction, non-fiction, picture book, teacher's reference, and so forth and so on. So the first starting point is to group the books into the groupings of the type of material you're cataloging. So you'll have all the fiction together, then you'll have all the non-fiction, then you have the teacher's research, and whatever order is entirely up to you, but group them in order. Okay, now before you catalog, what you would do is you'd come up here, okay, and you'll choose the type of material that you're cataloging. So if you've just got it a book, or you've got it as a fiction, or you've got it as a non-fiction, or whatever, choose the media type, okay, and then if you don't like what comes up here, go ahead and choose the location, okay, choose the sub-location these books are going into, then choose the loan type, then choose the renewal type, okay. Copy status, they're going to be available as soon as you catalog them. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Then the cost center. If the library is paying for it and you've got no cost centers, now why would you do that? Okay. If it doesn't exist, it says library doesn't exist. Do you want me to create it? Go, yep. So now all of a sudden I've got library as a cost center. Now, if you bought the books from the same supplier, then you can put in the supplier's name there. Okay. But of course, if you bought the books from different suppliers, then within the fiction collection, you might have supplier A, and you catalog all those books. Now you've done 3 of them. Now you've got a different supplier. You'll just come back here and you'll change the supplier. Okay, and of course the cost. So if the first book was costing you $45, you put the $45 in there. The replacement cost, and think in terms of how much effort you're doing to catalog, how much labor you're using, how much material like labels and covering and all that. So the replacement cost is $60. Okay. If you run a library that's running fines, you can put that in there. Okay. If that book is not returned, the fine is $5 per day or whatever. You can put that in there. Now that you've got all that information, now you can go ahead and you can put in the ISBN number of the very first book. Okay. Now, before we do that, okay, so this is the way that we would SCIS catalog material on our system. All right. However, as I said, there are parameters, and the parameters that we put in here are not the parameters I am talking about. I'm talking about the parameters that you would have to put in to get global cataloging working in the first instance. Okay. Now, once you've done all of this, you're ready to go. It's all been set up. So all you would do is you'd zap in your ISBN number in here, okay, with your barcode reader, and you'd put in your barcode of the book. Then you zap in the next ISBN number, put in the next barcode of the book. Then you put in the next ISBN number, then the next barcode of the book. Now, the next book you're going to catalog was not bought from this particular supplier. So you'd go in here, okay, and you'll choose the next supplier, or you'll put in a new supplier, okay, and now you'll go ahead and put in the ISBN number of that book. Now I'm putting in the same ISBN numbers because I don't have 100 books, okay, but if I had 100 books, obviously, or different books, I just put in different ISBN numbers. Now what happens if you've got 5 copies of the same book? Then you'll do what I'm doing, put in the same ISBN number, but just put in a different barcode, okay, and it'll group them all together. It won't create 12 different catalog records just because you've got 12 copies. It'll make one catalog record with 12 copies in there, okay. And so now I've finished my fiction, so now I can go to I'm doing non-fiction, or I'm doing a different thing. I'm going to use the word of book, okay, the media type of book. Check all those parameters here, they're all the same. The cost center is now library again, okay, and the supplier, well, I'm really not interested. The cost, these are all textbooks, so they're actually $45, and the replacement cost for these is $85 because we got them on a special, or $86, okay. And now for this group of booking with that media type, you will put in your ISBN number again, and guess what, the barcode of the book, and then the ISBN number again, and the barcode of the book. And that's all there is to global cataloging, or SCIS cataloging, okay, or bulk cataloging. That's all. And you go, but what if I want to have a look at the catalog record? That's easy. All you need to do is just click on the title of the particular book, and the catalog record will come up, okay? And you can go ahead anywhere and look at any of the information in there. And also add more information, add more subjects if you want, add whatever you like in there. Don't forget to hit the save button, okay, and then just close that tab, and it takes you back to your screen. You do not want to ever exit out of the screen yet, okay. If that's finished, you've done your 100 books. The beautiful part about global cataloging is you just go print, okay, and it'll print all your spine labels out in exactly the order that you've cataloged them, and there they are. But that's assuming you put a brand new sheet of spine labels in. But you haven't, because you've used the spine label before. You've used 17 of them. So at the bottom, you go and say, leave 17 blanks and go generate. And once you do that, guess what? It moves it down to the 18th spine label and just carries on from there. Pretty nifty, okay? All right, so once you've finished all of that, you can just exit out of the spine label tab, and you're back to here. So now, what are the parameters that I need to put in so that this works for me? Easy. The first thing you need to do when you go in here, if you've never used global cataloging, you need to put your SCIS username and password. Simple. You go to the configuration button. You don't hit that. You hit the up arrow. And you'll go Z3950 databases. And you look for SCIS. It'll be there. Okay. And then all you do is you put in your SCIS username. If it's not there, you'll put in the word SCIS, you'll put in the port numbers 210, then you'll put in your username, make it priority 1. Then you must make sure, if it's not already in there, you'll go z3950.scissdata.com. That's the SCIS URL. The database is called Voyager, and then in here you'll put in your SCIS password. And then you say that it is the default one. Yep. And if it's new, you'll have a save button. If it's an old one, then you've got the update button. Okay. Well, what's all these other parameters here? Well, the reason why we call it global cataloging is because you can globally import data from SCIS and any other Z3950 source if you've got a username and password, which some of them require. And if they don't require, like the State Library of Victoria doesn't require, so just don't put it in. Okay. So you can put their name, their port number. You get all this information from whoever is the Z3950 database supplier. You will need to know the name. You'll need to know the port number. You'll need to know the server name, the database name, and the username and the password if they have one for you. Okay. So I've got SCIS, I've got State Library of Victoria, I've got Library of Congress. So how does all this work? Well, once you put it in, this thing here is very important. This is the order that it'll import it. So basically, in my system, it goes to SCIS and gets the data first. Then it doesn't go to State Library of Victoria. It goes to the Library of Congress and imports the data from there that you might not have from SCIS. And then it'll import that data. Okay. Once it's done that, then it'll do the third priority, which is the State Library of Victoria. And you can add as many Z3950 resources. And if you want to have a look, why not just go and Google free Z39.50 resources? And you'll find, and then you can choose which ones to add there. Okay, you just need to put that in. So that's parameter number one. Parameter number two, remember when I hit that print button and magic, all the spine labels came out? Well, go up arrow again and default spine labels. Now, RACO 12603, we don't care which one you use, but RACO 12603 is fairly industry standard with all libraries, okay? So if you go and buy RACO 12603 spine labels from your normal library vendor, okay, and if it's a reputable library vendor, they will have it. So you can go ahead and choose RACO 12603 and remember to hit the save button, okay? But if you choose to use any of these others, that's just as good too. So you can go RACO 12601, or you can turn around and say, no, I want to use Dataman labels, or I want to use Dataman TL55. So choose whichever one, go save. And you say, oh, but I've already got my own spine labels. Well, good luck to you. You can go ahead in the reports menu and format your own spine label. Okay. You'll probably have a lot of headache if you're not IT savvy, because it's out by half a character, it's high by a quarter of a character, the gap is out by 3 characters, and you got to fiddle and you got to do all of that in the reports creation module, and then you'll give it a name. And when you do, you can then come back here and choose from that list. But if you turn around and say, you know what, that's too much problem, I'll just go and buy one of these. And if he's recommending 12603 and I can buy it from any library vendor, it's going to cost me $50 extra. It's a once-off $50 charge for the label that you buy. You'll get a whole stack of them and you're up and running from there. So that's the way to go. Okay. So you can format your own or you can choose any one of those lists. Don't forget to hit the save button. And that's the two major parameters. However, you might turn around and say, yeah, but when I go to the media type, I have fiction, I have nonfiction, I have teachers' resources, I have XYZ, I have big books, I have all these others, and they're all these different parameters here. Is there somewhere I can go and choose a media type, which will then give me all these parameters once I set all these parameters up for my different media types? Absolutely. So what you would do is you would just go up here and you would go copy defaults. And the copy defaults, okay, it's a media type of a book. And then you'll put that in there and you'll put it in. And then you'll go to the next one. It's a document or it's a fiction or it's a non-fiction. So you can have all your different media type. You put in the loan period, the renewal period, the security. If it's teachers' resources, you'll make it a 50 so only teachers can borrow it. Okay, you can override any of these things, but you can set them all up here. Okay, now once you set them up, the advantage is when you come in here and you choose one of them, all these parameters will come in based on what that is. And that's all there is to global cataloging. Okay, now if I go ahead and I click that catalog record, now remember I put one ISBN number, but I put all these different barcodes and there they all are. Okay, so it only created one catalog record. That's it. Now, if I go ahead and I go to my search screen. Okay, and let's have a look at my catalog record. And there it is. I've got 11 copies in there. And that's all there is to global cataloging, SCIS cataloging, or bulk cataloging, whatever you want to call it. Okay, and make sure you do it. If you've got any parameters you want to talk, any issues with any of the parameters you want to talk to us, okay, down here at our concierge, we give you upfront, beat the queue, access to our help desk. You click that, and when you start typing, our help desk staff monitor this and they will answer you. It's not some machine generated so called artificial intelligence that works out what techno to give you. Someone from our office will talk to you directly on that. Or if you've got other issues, just come down, go to the mailbox and create a ticket and tell us what you want. And we are more than happy to help you with it. Thank you very much for this opportunity to present SmartSuite Global Catalog or Bulk Catalog or SCIS cataloging, how to do it and how to set the parameters. Thank you.